Dream State is basically I work in different schools independently. So I take my portable radio studio, I set it up in the school in a little room, and again there's loads of negotiation with the school that happens months in advance down to what room I'm going to have, because and also even if you plan that, the school then change their mind and you're moved about, and so you have to be very quite directive and quite clear, and you have to pick your schools very carefully, otherwise they will drive you mad. But the way I work is quite intensive, so I'll go in for 3 weeks and I will recruit a young producer and a young technician or a couple, and some reporters and some audio editors and some presenters, and I basically do an entire radio station, sort of as professional as I can get at radio station. And then I also work in the classrooms using all my sort of radio and drama stuff, and eventually we end up with an hour show that is a collection of pre-records, collection of reports that are done by the reporters, that are all edited as much as possible by the young people, that it's presented by the young people, it's produced by the young producer. And I work in primary schools mainly, because actually secondary schools are a nightmare because they've got so many exams and things. So I've learned a lot of things about that, really. You know, the year that you begin, you're looking at years 4 and 5 and not year 6, and you know, it's all those things. I think that's the hardest thing, and I wouldn't say that I have nailed it. It is really, you have to have schools that are interested in radio. There are loads of schools out there that have spent an absolute fortune on radio stations and they have no idea how to use it. No idea. And the problem is that there's sort of an arrogance that goes with it, so that they think that they already know what they're doing. But basically all that equipment's sitting in a cupboard and it's not being used, which is a crime. It's absolutely criminal, because it's often £10,000–15,000 worth of equipment. So if you can find a way of getting into those schools, then great. But I have to say that those schools I have not got into at all. The schools that I have got into are, they've kind of maybe got a very creative head or a super head, or it's in areas where they're having real problems and they haven't got anything, they haven't really got creative stuff, and then they get very excited about it. But when you then begin the project, they're not really on board. You have to work very, very hard to sort of get everybody and all the teachers on board. So it's not an easy way of bringing in income at all. It's a lot of work. Yeah. And if you're lucky, you get a really great head, which I did for one of them, who will then contact the local education authority and write something for a journal or whatever, and that gets you a little bit more work and more interest. But it's a lot of money. Schools that are combined, so say you've got 2 primary schools that have got the same super head, they might well do it as one project between 2 schools, because they have a pool of money between the 2 of them, because they have a super head. So it's stuff like that, really. But you have to really make a great relationship, and they won't take you unless they know you very well, and unless you are recommended, and unless you are thoroughly CRB already. You need to go with your CRB disclosures so that they can photocopy them. There's all sorts of limitations with schools that you have to buy into, really. Be very clear. Directly by the school. So the school will, so say for example I'm chatting to a head teacher and she says, well, we've got a little bit of money for a communication project or whatever, or for these particular kids, and then I'll say, well, this is my idea, and I'll kind of lay it all out how I would do it. And you either see the light bulb moment where they kind of get really excited, and then it's a case of kind of, okay, let's just calm down and sort out exactly how we're going to do it, or you see them switch off, and then that's the time to walk away. So, but some people get really excited about it, and then you tell them how much it would cost, and given that you've got to edit everything, you've got to train all of those people. I mean, I do it single-handedly. So I will go in at 7 o'clock in the morning. My studio's there, so I've set it up maybe the weekend before. I'll go in at 7 o'clock in the morning. 8 o'clock in the morning, I'll be working with my first set of young people. Then I'll go into the classrooms and I'll work in a couple of classrooms. I've got all that audio that I now need to edit and put together myself. and then I'm going to be working with the next set. I'm going to be teaching the reporters in lunchtime. I don't have a break at all, and I will be working in the school until about 7 o'clock because I work with the editors after school, and then I go back to often to digs and I edit. So it's and of course that's the invisible bit that they cannot appreciate. They just don't appreciate it. And so you give them something that is beautifully edited, that has taken hours and hours and hours of your time, and they think, oh, this is very expensive, you know, and they have no idea that actually you just nearly killed yourself for 3 weeks in order to achieve it. But and obviously the ideal is that you do it with more than one person. But if you do it with more than one person, there's more money. So it's difficult. It's difficult.